Right now, I've got Ozzie Jurek on the line with me. Ozzie, I want to talk about the added cost of going green with that sort of movement to affordable housing. But first, I want to ask you, obviously we don't have the end numbers for October, but you've got some numbers for us up to October 28th. Can you share we're just looking for trends here. Obviously, the final numbers will come out and some adjustments will be made, but I think, if the trend's there.
Yeah, the trend has stayed the same over the last couple of weeks, actually over the last 2.5 months, and we thought it was maybe August and then maybe September, but so far the total sales of single-family homes look like they have been 376 versus 1,322 last year. That's a 71% decline, and all the condos sold in the Vancouver area are 783 versus 1,447 last year, which would be a 46% decline. Now, I'm not going to drill down into all the neighborhoods, but clearly you go to the west side, 44 single-family homes sold, last year 152, condos were 195 this month, last year 417. Now, it's only till, as you said, till the 28th, there's going to be adjustments over the weekend, but clearly we have lost a lot of sales.
Yeah, and that's what we were looking for, to see what the impact of maybe the new mortgage rules. I actually expected those new mortgage rules to maybe boost sales in the first half of the month for people who are qualified, but they needed to get an accepted offer, and have that mortgage kick in, and they have till, March 1st or something to complete. But I thought you might get a little bump in that, and that's why these numbers are certainly confirming the downward trend since April.
Yeah, and also the people that took the mortgages may not actually have closed on the deal this month. So that you're very right. There's a lot of people that came in. I was talking to Kyle, who you had on earlier, and that's what he saw. His business had increased in terms of applications and so on. But the key is that the actual reported sales, which were last year at this time versus this year at this time, are still way down. And it's a clear example of, the horse had escaped. We were down in single-family home sales, as you and I talked about, every single month since April, and then we do this double whammy, and we can't be surprised that sales are way off.
Yeah. Ozzie, I want to go on to something else. There's obviously still a ton of talk about affordability in housing, but I think there's very little understanding that governments add to those costs through a variety of levies or taxes. And today I want to just focus on one aspect of it, and that's all of these environmental go green kind of things when it comes to development.
Yeah, and of course we all want to have sustainability, and we applaud our going green, but some of these are really not really very helpful. Look, we have diesel-powered trucks going down alleys collecting little green bags of organic materials, right? Mm-hmm. You've got building codes that ban doorknobs and then jack up the price for basic windows and light bulbs. In Ontario, the energy policies have driven normal hydro bills to record highs. The Auditor General found that it paid $37 billion more than market price for electricity the last 8 years, and will pay another $133 billion over the next 10 years. So the point is, that is nothing as compared to the new laws that are coming in, apparently through a CBC report that the federal Liberal government is going to bring in. National Building Code changes that require builders to include more net zero homes. So these buildings have to produce as much energy as they use, and in the next 15 years that's going to be tightened. But to me it sounds great, but in many cases the incentives don't do anything to offset the cost, and the rewards are like long-term rewards. Net zero homes use solar panels on the roof to run a high-efficiency electric furnace. That costs money. There's additional insulation, triple-glazed windows, and a heck of a lot of other features to help retain the heat. And that's expected to cost an average maybe of up to 15%, or on a $600,000 house, maybe $90,000. Well, that's more than the average down payment.
Yeah, that's the point I want to get to, is that, if you take an example and you sort of incorporate all the stuff that's being proposed, it's a significant chunk of the price of a house. And you look at already, for example, in cities like Vancouver, where they cry about affordability, and you look at all the levies and taxes, fees strapped on to, a new development, condos. I think I did something about 6 months ago where I looked at an 800 square foot condo, and it was adding $76,000 to the cost. And you look at this right now, it's just going to throw in on another $90,000 for a typical $600,000 home. And then tomorrow they'll talk about affordability.
Yeah, Well, yeah. I mean, housing is sort of the only thing that they can really tax. But I tell you, with these declines in sales, there's huge other implications. If we're really down 70%, maybe another 2,000 units that we could have had, maybe, well, that's 2,000 commissions, 2,000 lawyers' fees, 2,000 everything, 2,000 furniture packages, maybe cars, whatnot. And all of that will have a serious economic impact, and that's what I worry about.
Well, we'll be here to chronicle it. Before we go, let's go on a brighter note. Let's talk about a hot property.
Yeah, we're looking, of course, into much lower-priced areas. So that's why we like Surrey and we like, the whole area of Wally. But this week we are picking New Westminster, where we found, in Sapperton in New Westminster, you can get half the condo prices are under $330,000. So a renovated one-bedroom wood frame, $199,000. A two-bedroom concrete, close to Douglas College, for $229,000. These are hot properties this week.
And New Westminster's got a lovely little downtown area there, very quaint. They've done a great redevelopment down there. It makes it a great place just to visit, let alone live. And as you say, they've got SkyTrain out there, so that's good. Ozzie, I want to thank you for taking the time. Have a terrific weekend.
You too, Mike, and your listeners. Bye-bye.
And remember, you can get, you want to hear those numbers or share them with someone, and I think they're important to get. All I'm saying is, and all Ozzie is saying, is we should know the implications. There's not, and my biggest complaint about policies is we don't look at some of the consequences, some of the ripple-through effects. And this is a great example. I mean, as Ozzie just brought to you, $90,000 for a typical $600,000 house, additional costs. My goodness gracious! And then, as I say, we'll talk about affordability 10 minutes later. There's just a little disconnect going on here, and we have to look at these things in a much broader context, not just one variable, but the several variables that are